Good morning, Curry County, Oregon Board of Commissioners, Wednesday, June 9th, 2021. It is 9:05. We're here for the budget hearing for the fiscal year coming up 2021-22. Did we catch what we need to catch there, John? Okay. I had a request to go ahead and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance again, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So, Board, adoption and amendment of the agenda. Any changes you request? Hearing none. Any public comments? Roadmaster Christensen, please come up to the podium. Whoop.
I move that we adopt the agenda as written.
Second?
Any objections? Passed. Item number 3, public comments. Come on up.
We have to vote, sir.
Pardon me?
We have to vote on that.
We are unanimous. Okay, we'll call.
We have to. It has to be.
Staff Jesuit call for the question.
Paasch.
Aye.
Vice Chair Herzog.
Yes.
Chair Boyce.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
Council Pope, we have unanimous. Do we have to individually vote every
Kind of
time?
like what you guys want to do, tradition. Some places they like to have it called every time. If it's unanimous and there's no opposition, then you can just do it like that.
Sometimes they don't require that. Yeah, thank you. Public comments, anyone? Oh, how could we forget you? Come on up, Roadmaster Christensen. Thanks for being here this morning.
Good morning, Board of Commissioners.
Morning.
Good morning. Curry County Roadmaster Rueckert Christensen. I just would like to, I wrote a little blurb here and I'd just like to talk with you about this before you make your decision on approving next fiscal year's budget. And so I just want to say, Commissioners, today it's your choice to decide if you will be the one to start the end of the road fund or preserve it for what it was legally intended to be used for. I would like to ask you all what you would do if there was no road reserve fund right now. What is your plan? We currently have a $7 to $8 million budget shortfall in 3 departments with the general fund, the sheriff's department, and the road department. I suggest that we have no expansion of services this next fiscal year for any department. That's status quo until we find new revenue sources to replace the $7 or $8 million we lost in forest receipts. I think a prudent plan for the road reserves should include sustaining as long as possible for the safety, health, welfare, and economic vitality of Curry County and serving the people in Curry County. The way I see it from my perspective is there's currently about a $3 million budget shortfall in the Sheriff's Department and Civil Patrol. And there's currently about a $1 million shortfall in the general fund, and there's a $4 million budget shortfall in the road department. And the road reserves, if we keep taking $7-8 million out of a year, will be gone in 4 years. The Sheriff's Department will have to cut back 80% in Civil Patrol. Road Department will have to cut back 65%. The general fund, I believe, is going to have to cut back about 40-50%. So let's look at if that was happening today. And so what I really think we need to do is hold the status quo and aggressively this next year get ballot measures out there, you know, a bond measure for the sheriff, a gas tax measure for the road department, and some other kind of measure for the general fund. And next year, we cut back 80% in Civil Patrol. Road Department cuts back 65%, you know, and I really believe that if we keep band-aiding this, we're going to destroy the road fund. There will be no future bridge repairs. There will be no future FEMA repairs. We'll have no money to leverage road funds at 10 cents on the dollar for master plan projects. that money will never come back. And I say today's the day that we need to stop and change direction and not push this can down the road any further. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Vice Chair Herzog?
Rich, are you fully staffed right now as far as the road department?
No, I'm currently down 6 people. You know, I have a hard time hiring people when I know that what's looming ahead in the 4 years. And also too is I've been working creatively with other departments, you know, state highway department, and having them help staff some of our bigger projects, and I help staff their projects as well with chip seal. So we're doing a lot of creative things, and also too is some of the things I'm able to use dire partnership. Like I have 2 open engineer positions. Instead of backfilling those positions, I'm using contract engineering as needed for special projects. Like today, we have a project coming to you, task order 26. We have an emergency repair on Don Cameron Bridge. I have to get that done. And but anyways, yeah, we're running 6 people short. And, you know, and I believe the sheriff department right now currently is running 2 people short. And I'm not looking at hiring 6 people. I'm going to be looking at maybe trying to hire 2 out of the 6, just because I have to prepare for U.S. Forest Service next fiscal year to do a chip seal on Bear Camp Road, and I need 21 people minimum to do a chip seal. And I'm going to be reaching out to the state if they'll loan me or rent me a couple of their team members to help with that project too. So, that's kind of where we're at. You know, we're cutting back and leaning as mean as we can here at the road department.
Commissioner Paasch?
I don't have anything.
Thank you, Mr. Christensen. Well, Board, today I'm not going to support, nor am I in favor of passing this budget as is. In fact, I'm not even close. You know, Curry County, some recent public officials' history of big spending and fiscal irresponsibility. It's why the public, understandably, trusts the commissioners the least. I'm recommending the board we take a week, call staff back on the 16th. And I hope the board will give that some serious consideration. On May 10th, we were told the budget was in the red by 2.3 million, 2.5 million. Now we're told that number is 2.8 million. To make good decisions, we need to have good information. I'm not sure if anyone knows where we are in the budget. It's a moving target, and that's just not acceptable. It's been a month, now that $300,000 difference. We're going in the wrong direction. We're going in the wrong direction. I spent 4 years battling to save our forests against catastrophic fires. I worked with AOCC, Association of ONC Counties, to keep our timber receipts coming. I put up 4 different times revenue generating opportunities for this county, could not get any support. So I'm going to be coming back to the board on the 16th, and I'm going to be recommending some cuts, some consolidations, some outsourcing, and which I've already done. September, I offered a reorganization plan. I got some information from Director Rueckert. We're going to be paying $1.8 million just in PERS for next year. $1.8 million. I'd like to keep that a secret, but it's not the right thing to do. The public needs to know what we're up against. And y'all heard my monologue. Actually, you missed just that part, Commissioner, but the first 5 minutes of the May 10th as we open up this budget hearing, how poorly this county's been operated and managed for the last almost 5 years. And here we are. And the road fund reserves will be gone, I think, in less than 3 years. And then what are we going to do when we're going in? I'm going to be going into my 70s, and we can't afford any law enforcement. Timber's not going to come back at the very least 15 years.
We know there's a disaster looming. We have several disasters. You know, it seems like every 7 years we have millions of dollars of emergency projects. Sometimes they're funded by FEMA, actually they're not funded, we have to pay for them outright, then they return 75% of the money. If we don't have the money, those projects don't happen. So just what happened this last year with Gardner Ridge, if we didn't have the money, that road would not have been repaired. The Langlois Mountain Road slide would not have been repaired. The culvert replacement on McKinnon Drive would not have been replaced. And so these are the things these are real things. And right now, bridges, they cost like $2 million a year to replace. We have several deficient bridges that we need to plan for. And if we don't have 10.27%, we can't apply for those funds. Right, we could replace a bridge, $2 million bridge for about $220,000, as long as we have the money in the road fund to leverage. But once the road fund's gone, those opportunities are gone. So thank you very much for hearing me today.
Well, Rich,
Yeah, you can stay there. Go ahead.
well, I when I think of we just got a piece of paper earlier, end of last week or maybe the first of this week, and it's the treasurer's report. It's the monthly treasurer's report, and it says there's $29.6 million in the road fund. So I, being a new guy, you've been in my office, and I said, and so you explained to me that 1 million of that is insurance. We're self-insured, so we can't touch that 1 million. So now we're at 28.6.
Right.
There's 500,000 that we can't touch.
Right, and that's been a finance thing. I never really understood. That 500,000 is a non-spendable reserve, and that's something from the previous finance director, and I really never understood how that works, but for some reason that money cannot be touched, and they were real explicit about that. So there's the 1.5 million basically that, out of that 29 million, that's really non-spendable, but that 29 million is all the money in all the road department funds encapsulated in that number.
So we go to, if I do the math, now we're down to 28 million and change. So with this shortfall that you just described in your letter is 7 to 8 million, it's not, like Gort said, it's not even 4 years, and that money will be gone.
It'll be totally gone. And we'll have to cut back the sheriff's patrol 80%, road department 65%, and general fund, I'm not sure how many percent that is, but I'm thinking it's 40, 50% for all the admin offices. So, right now it's like, if we looked at it, board, your wages, like 40% of your wages are paid by the road fund right now. The road fund's gone. How are we going to pay 40% of your wages? County council, we pay 40% of your wages too. And, Brad, yours, finance, HR, IT, right, six major departments, and this road fund is paying $600,000 into these 6 departments. Basically 40% of their budgets is dependent on this road fund. So in 4 years, barring any emergencies or disasters, if we stay on the current path we're on, the way I see it, we're done. And there's no reserves left. And to count on that we're going to keep getting bailed out with SRS funds or different funds.
SRS is gone.
Those funds, we can't count on that. And so to keep counting on that and kicking the can down the road is imprudent.
So, Roadmaster Christian, you asked about a plan. Excuse me, did you have anything, Commissioner Paasch?
I do, but I'm going to hold my thoughts for right now.
You asked about a plan. I have a 10-year plan, so in a very general sense, if the board would agree to support and work for the best possible Curry County public safety, that's our number one. You heard me say in past meetings that public health is nudging up against public safety as a second priority, just my opinion. Raising property taxes is not the answer, and I don't think will be for many years, if ever. The goal is to find additional resources, revenue, and possibly combine county, city departments to operate in the most secure, safe, and efficient way possible. We have 4 different law enforcement agencies in Curry County. 40 officers, give or take, with cars, and possibly double that number in administration and support staff. All that needs to be verified. Question, is that the most cost-effective, best protection for our 23,000 citizens? And then when we have visitor season, of course, I don't know if it's the most effective way, most efficient way. I do believe there are many ways to save valuable tax dollars that perhaps have not yet been considered. Maybe we have to consider a council of governments, bring this county together any and every possible way we can. Sheriff Ward, I recognize that you're here, and I'm going to have a call out to you that I think that is timely and important, and hope you'll agree. It is important for the public to see and be assured that the Sheriff's Office is open and dedicated to working with other public safety agencies, city police departments and fire departments, as efficiently as possible. Now, I remember during the Chetco Bar fire, how impressed I was that everybody was working so closely together on that. But is that the exception to the rule, or is it the general rule? I believe it is possible to have 24/7 coverage can be achieved in Curry County. Note that many of our rural counties do not have 24/7 coverage. However, we need to be proactive and take that responsibility on our own. Fix it ourselves. This year will again require the use of county road funds to balance the budget. But I will be coming back on the 16th, as I know we have, as I said, to outsource, consolidate, reorganize first. There isn't any other option. If there is, I'd sure like to hear it, and I haven't heard it in 4.5 years.
You know, I
That's all I have for right now.
I'm sorry. I have a couple suggestions, and so I like following success, and you know, I researched a little bit into Josephine County and what they did, and were able to get a 5-year bond passed, and you know, they cut back to what they could do, and they cut back services, and you know, when the citizens of Josephine County felt the pain, they passed that measure and funded the sheriff's department and the jail. City of Brookings, you know, we did a gas tax measure, you know, to pay for our roads at City of Brookings at the time. And we did videos. We hired, it was Candace Michelle, and did these videos, and we did a really public campaign. And I understand there's millions of dollars of property that's not properly taxed right now. There's all kinds of development out in the hills that they're not paying their fair share. You know, we need to, all those revenues that are sitting out there, they need to be captured. You know, I think that's number one. That's something that, those taxes is something we can do without passing any rules or laws. I think if the citizens saw that we were exhausting everything that we could possibly do, that we were actually working within our budgets, and they would understand where we're at. And so, but until we start working within our budgets and using the road fund, not for its intended purpose, and keep patching it till the day we run out of money, then it's too late. You know, then we can never do any master plan projects. We can never leverage any money to take care of the things we need to take care of. So the power of the road fund will be gone. And so.
Yeah, we agree. We agree. Commissioner Paasch?
I don't have anything.
Okay. So the question is, will we be right back here next year? How do we avoid that? So we got 12 months to fix this. And I hear you loud and clear. I hear the citizens loud and clear. I hear the absolute desire we have we mutually have to have the best possible law enforcement in this county. I don't think anybody disagrees with that. So I'm going to be asking commissioners to consider convening a public safety work group with all the law enforcement people in this county, and that means OSP, that means fire, Coos Forest Patrol, everyone. It's my opinion this is the only way, the long term, to develop that 10-year plan, and I think that's what we've got to get on immediately. You spoke very well to that on May 12th.
Thank you.
At our second day budget committee meeting. So did you have anything else?
I think we can do it. I think if, you know, we get all the elected officials together on the same page, unified, and all the department heads, that we could come up with a plan and that we could express it effectively to the community, and I think we could get some help. I think people would understand, but they need to be able to trust us first, that we're all working together and we have a plan. Thank you.
Thank you.
You know, just to thank you, Roadmaster Christian, just a side note, the fuel cost alone for the Sheriff's Department, the Road Department, with what we're experiencing right now,
It's
how
right
do we
at
plan for that?
$200,000 a year just for the
Say
fuel.
that again, I'm sorry.
$200,000 a year just for fuel. It's about $100,000 each for Sheriff Department and also or the general fund vehicles and also for the Road Department vehicles and equipment.
But when I checked with you a couple of years ago, I think it was only about 170,000 for the fuel. So
Yeah,
it had already gone up that
yeah.
much.
It's in the mid 90s to mid to high 90s right now for both departments.
Makes sense. Absolutely makes sense.
Thank you.
So, Board, I'm going to also ask for Director Rueckert and his staff to have a full COVID reimbursement report by the 16th. If the Board agrees that we're going to postpone today's decision for a week, I don't have enough information to go on. Please provide full clarification on the 2.55 million to 2.82 million, why we went up 300,000. And so I'm looking, Board, for agreement and consensus that we're not going to pass this budget as is today. So, Commissioner Paasch?
Well, I think that it went to 2.8 million during our budget meetings. We knew that while the budget meeting committee was still meeting. For me, it's hard to see some of the problems we have here, and this has been our budget was dealt with over a month ago, and this could have and should have been talked about in prior meetings. If you were in disagreement with the budget committee, why weren't all these things brought up in front of the budget committee to address in front of the group of professionals that were put in place to discuss and arrive at a budget, rather than when the chair of the budget committee said on each item, do we agree on this budget? And we agreed. I don't know why, weeks after the budget committee has completed its hearings and agreed on the budget, as we all did, now weeks later, we are coming to having questions about the budget and how money is spent. It's hard for me to sit here and say that we should relook at all this and the shortfalls that we have and how important it is for our citizens to trust us. Yet the budget committee, because of recommendations, you gave two elected officials a 13 and a 14% raise, elected officials. So how do I go out and tell the taxpayer, we need your money to pay the shortfalls of the county, but yeah, we got officials here that are elected that need raises too. We've also got some of our department, I think one department for sure that I feel is poorly managed. And that is costing this county millions of dollars a year in revenue in the bottom line. That's a conversation for another day, and that's a conversation in planning for next year's budget. But how can we as a board sit here and say we now want to relook at and readdress situations in our budget when the committee that was put in place to decide the budget for this county sat, and we all sat with them and agreed to the budget. Now we want to make changes to it. And I just find that is hard to explain to our taxpayers. One more thought, all of the special districts in this county got a 3% raise this year. That's a substantial amount of money. And until we can, as a county and elected officials, along with department heads and managers, get together at a table and talk, and I agree with you, Commissioner Boyce, combine some city services with our counties and work together, we will never fix the budget issues in this county. The good old days here are gone, and we're gonna have to roll up our sleeves and fight for every dime. But it's hard for me as a commissioner to say, let's sit down and fight because we want to help the taxpayers to get the bang for their buck. But we've got shortfalls, and one of the biggest black eyes is we're giving elected officials 13 and a 14% raise, and then we've got a shortfall to our road department. And I also want to comment, and Roadmaster Christensen knows very well. We've had long meetings. I respect you and I appreciate everything you do for this county, and we had a long conversation about that yesterday. I know you say there's $7 and $8 million a year that are going to be gone from the road fund, but we also know that there are agencies that pay back into that money, so it has never been that. When I came into office, I believe the road fund had about $27 million in it. Now, a couple of years later, it's got almost $30 million in it. So, and I will say also that's because of the careful spending of our Roadmaster. He does a great job. But what I want to say is that we were told 2 years ago that there was going to be a huge chunk come out of the road fund because we had to pay for this, for some things. And at the end of the year, last year, we had a balanced budget with no road fund dollars spent. Because of COVID, now we've had some shortages, and I believe this year is somewhat an anomaly. If it's to continue, absolutely, we need to start making cuts, but I think to make cuts now is premature. Dealing with what we're dealing with, and I would like to see this budget get adopted as the Budget Committee has suggested and we all agreed and voted on. And if you're going to make some serious changes, we've got the next 11 months to get that done. That's all I have, sir.
Commissioner Paasch, or excuse me, Commissioner Herzog,
Well, Brad's in front of me.
go ahead.
So I want to first start off by clarifying those deficit numbers. When the proposed budget was first brought before the Budget Committee, it was at 2.5 million. As the departments came in, presented their budgets, made changes that way, it did increase to 2.8. And then through the Budget Committee process, we cut that by just over $600,000 to 2.2. That was all stated during the Budget Committee. That shouldn't have been a surprise to anybody. So it is sitting at $2.2 million drawing from the road funds right now. I also want to say that as we convened several weeks ago for the Budget Committee, again, I want to emphasize that we've cut $600,000 from that budget, and that was really the time to bring forth any other ideas on how to cut expenditures, how to draw less from the road funds. Right now, we are partway through June. We would be scrambling to get hearings noticed in a timely and lawful manner. I guess I look at it and say we already cut $600,000 from the budget. How much more do we expect to cut? I can't see that we would be able to cut a significant amount to be able to reduce that $2.2 million. We could get it down to $2 million. We could cut the other two deputies in the sheriff's office. That would get us down there. I don't think we want to do that. The Budget Committee, all 6 members of the Budget Committee approved the budget to go before the hearing today, if we go before the commissioners today. So I agree with Commissioner Paasch when he said that time is kind of come and gone for any kind of changes. That should have been done weeks ago. And then after I made all those changes, I sent the new budget out to each of the Budget Committee members. I haven't heard anything from anybody about possible other changes until today, so that's a little surprising. But again, that time has kind of come and gone. We have this budget isn't going to be fixed by cutting. It's only going to be fixed by looking at additional revenue sources. And that's the good thing about a budget is it's an estimated estimation of your revenues, your expenditures, and it can change depending on what this board decides to do over the next 12 months to increase our revenue streams, find new sources, whatever it is. We can cut that $2.2 million down to who knows, but it's really these next 12 months that could affect that $2.2 million draw from the road fund more than the next week, and trying and trying to make cuts.
Thank you, Mr. Rueckert. I'm going to respond, if I may, first to Mr. Paasch, Commissioner Paasch, that we fought for every penny during the 2 or 3 days of Budget Committee. I find that absolutely shocking that we fought. Not only is the 600,000 really invalid, and I just heard Mr. Rueckert mention 2.2 million, where it was 2.5. I don't remember ever hearing 2.8 until I got it in a written document about 5 business days ago. I am shocked to hear that you cannot balance a budget by cutting. And I'm thinking, what would I do if this is my kids, my grandkids? And I'm saying, you just spent more than you got. And your money coming in, you're not working enough hours. You don't have enough resources. And you're going to keep spending, and you're going to hope that the revenues come in. And you're going to go over a 4-year period and say, well, we had a chance to do something about revenue. We didn't do it. You always hear the term kick the can down the road. That's exactly what we're doing here. I, in the Budget Committee, made it very clear that I was not satisfied with the cuts, and I wanted to get to the very least 1.5 million. And instead, we end up at 2.8 again.
2.2.
Okay, where's the 2.8 figure come from then? I mean,
Well, again,
so I'm going to finish. Thank you. I respected the Budget Committee. I worked hard. And I'm sitting here after 4.5 years, and I'm seeing us do the exact same thing 5 budget seasons in a row. As far as the elected officials getting a pay raise, that is such a pittance to what has been squandered by this county the last 5 years. And I can prove it, because I fought it and fought it. And if anybody wants to do an honest audit, I'd love to be proved wrong, so we don't keep making the same mistakes. So we have 30-year elected officials, and we have a political difference with them, so we're going to say, no pay raise for you, even though you've been underpaid compared to comparable counties for many, many years. That's how we do it in Curry County, and it's got to change. That's my honest opinion. Mr. Rueckert, go ahead, please.
I was just, you asked a question, so I was just clarifying that. I don't even remember what the question was now. I think I had to do about the 2.8 versus 2.2. Yeah, the 2.5 to 2.8, that was all laid out there during the Budget Committee. It wasn't hidden in any way. 2.2 now, again, with the revised budget that I sent out after the Budget Committee, where it cut $600,000, which is really a significant amount and a very real amount. It is down to 2.2.
3.2, excuse me?
2.2 million.
Okay, thank you.
Road reserve.
To clarify, from the road reserve, right. To clarify about, you can't balance budget by cutting. You have to look at what we're cutting. We're cutting services to county citizens. You know, like I said, we're going to cut 2 employees out of the sheriff's budget. Those are services to employees. We're going to cut a department out. Those are services to citizens. Again, the time for all of this was during the Budget Committee meetings, and then as I sent out the new budget, which was several weeks ago, that would have also been a time to make additional cuts. Right now, we're in such a time crunch to get this adopted by the deadlines that we really need to look at things going forward and focus on those revenues starting now and over the next 12 months to cut into that $2.2 million instead of focusing on cutting departments, cutting staff, cutting services to the public, cutting staff or cutting departmental expenses when departments are already stressed in those areas.
Go ahead, Commissioner Paasch.
Well, if you recall, during the budget process, the budget did grow to a deficit of 2.8 million because, as Director Rueckert and I have explained earlier, it was the process of as each department brought their budgets, it ballooned to 2.8 million. And then at the end, we've figured out as a committee to reduce it to 2.2. We cut $600,000 out of the budget. I just want to bring it to the chair's attention. We're 10 minutes over on this meeting, and I have a state official that's going to be waiting to speak to us between 10 and 10:30. So just for a procedural timeline, you may want to continue this for later. We've also got a lot of people here, I'm guessing, for the public here, for the public meeting, our normal meeting. But with that being said, I just, again, I ask this board to adopt the budget. Any changes that wanted to be made to this budget should have been done during the budget committee session and or immediately thereafter, and now we are up against the time crunch. It would be almost impossible to move forward and have more meetings and postings and get a budget in place in the next couple of weeks.
So we have 21 days. That's 5 times I've heard it's a time issue. We're going to be rushed on this. I'm looking for
Where was it for the last 6 weeks?
the last 6 weeks. Okay, you can make it about me. I prefer you didn't do that.
I'm not saying you. I'm
Okay.
saying where was the complaints in the last 6
Okay,
weeks?
but we are not up against the time crunch. The 16th even then gives us 14 additional days to get this done by June 30th. I'm not bound as commissioners. We're not bound by the budget committee. That is a recommendation. We're here every day studying this, trying to figure out the best possible thing to do. To hear that our departments are understaffed, we need to hire more people, that's even stunning to me. Now, there are some exceptions. I think with the road department, sheriff's departments, probably other couple smaller ones. But I'm not going to be rushed in, and just this discussion validates, I believe, that we need to postpone this at least 1 week. So I'm looking for a motion on that.
Excuse me, can I have just a few minutes?
Yes. Go ahead, Sheriff Ward. Thank you.
You know, I started watching this over on the internet when the start of this meeting, and I was fully expecting you guys to come in and approve the budget like you guys approved in the budget committee. I don't tell people how to do their jobs or how to run their business, but the thing is, I'm getting a little upset that other elected, or not elected officials, but other department heads are coming in here and talking about the sheriff's office when they have no clue what they're talking about. Rich took 25 minutes of our budget time that time when it was our budget presentation. He came in here all upset about this thing. He's written letters about it, and he comes back in today. He tells me I'm, trying to do a dream team. Well,
Sheriff Ward, if I may.
Hold on,
No, just if I may, I'm sorry. We all respect you and his opinion. So please state something other than against or for another department head, okay?
What I'm saying is, we have used a very little bit of road funds over the years, okay? We may get approved for the budget, but we don't get that money in advance. You guys gotta remember that. We get it if we spend it. It's gonna take, you approve 2 more positions for us, okay? I don't know that I'm gonna be able to hire those. I'm losing another deputy as probably this week because of what's going on in the world in law enforcement. So I'm gonna be 3 positions down. Plus those 2, how am I supposed to hire those if I can't even recruit or can't retain people because of what's going on? What's going on in this county? You say we have a 2.2 deficit. We're not gonna have a 2.2 deficit. I've been hearing that for 30 years. Road funds are gonna be gone. I've never asked you, hey, I want those road funds. I just said, I want these positions. This is what I need to do my job as a sheriff. I'm in charge of entire public safety for the entire county. And I can't do my job if I keep getting cut and cut. The last few years, we've been able to do some tremendous things with support from the commissioners. I can't go backwards. It's ridiculous. Especially what's going on in the county or in the nation. I'm just saying, I don't tell anybody else how to do their job. Don't come in here and tell me how run numbers, or we're going to lose 60% or things like that. It's not correct. You guys approved it, the budget committee came in and approved it. Just because we asked for it doesn't mean we're gonna be able to spend it. And I doubt we will. So there's not gonna be that deficit. I'd suggest you approve the budget and let's get on about our business. Thank you.
Commissioners, if we got down to $1.5 million from the 2.2, would that give you any additional security or confidence we're headed in the right direction if we can't implement a new or new sources of revenue? Would we get down to the 1.5? And what would be the difference next year? So I need to answer those two questions. If I could get help on that, much appreciated. Commissioner Paasch?
Well, again, if we wanted to do that, we should have sat with the budget committee.
Okay.
Are you gonna interrupt me again, please? If you wanted to do that, Commissioner, we should have sat for another 10 hours or 20 hours or 30 hours with the budget committee and ground those numbers out. We sat for the allotted time until everyone said, I agree. If you want to do those kind of cuts, you do that with your budget committee. That's what we put it in place for. That's what the citizens expect of the budget committee. When the chair said, do you agree with the budget? We voted yes. 1.5 right now isn't going to make a difference. I've heard you talk a couple of times, Chair Boyce, about a prepared foods tax or something like that. I'd love, and I told you the last time you brought it up, I would support that. Do the work on it and bring it to the board, and there's a possible revenue source for the county. You asked everyone else to do the work. I say it's your idea. Do the work. Evidently, you have it in your head on how to do it. Do the work and bring it to the board, and that's something that we could reduce the deficit for next year. Again, our sheriff asked for some deputies the first year I was in office. He asked for some extra money. The board gave it to him. The next year, we came into the budget, and he didn't use the money because he didn't hire the people that he needed, that he thought he could hire. He never used the money. So, yeah, do we look like we're going to have a $2.2 million deficit? Yes, it looks that way, but I don't believe that we will. I agree with the sheriff on that because, as he's just stated, he's already 3 deputies down, so he'd need to hire 5 deputies right now. And that $2.2 million isn't only the sheriff's department; it's a lot of the departments in the county. What was done was a lot of departments are short, and it was lumped into the sheriff's department as the $2.2 million. So I would again, we are up against a time crunch on this, and if these are things that we want to look at, we should have done it during the budget committee hearings. And I suggest this board approve the budget, and let's do this work for next year's budget. And that's all I have, sir.
So, Curry citizens, go back and look at the meetings. Time and time again, I said, we're not cutting enough, not near enough. I respect tremendously the presentation that Roadmaster Christensen made that day. It was incredibly compelling, but it only solidified, reinforced the feelings I've had for the 5 years I've been here. Anybody that wants to make the case that Curry County is well managed and the spending here is to the penny, it's just absolutely false. Now, there are some departments, there are some people that go above and beyond. But we're sitting here with a 2.2 or whatever it is, and it's unacceptable. And we cannot keep doing this. As far as the sales tax, yeah, you wanted me to do it. I begged for help. My head was handed to me, basically. You haven't done anything on it. And I submitted to the Economic Development 26 different documents, or at least 22, I think it was, the work that I've done, that previous commissioners did. That was quite notable. 4 times I tried, 4 times I couldn't get anybody to say, yeah, let's get a committee, let's go on this, let's see if it is valid, let's see if it's ridiculous, let's see if the citizens might actually want to review this and someday pass it. Over half the money's based on tourism. 1.5%, 2%, whatever you want to do. So yeah, I put myself out there, and here I am. Go ahead, Commissioner Herzog. I'm done. Thank you.
Well, I don't mean to interrupt,
Okay.
but
I was talking enough.
I just want to apologize that I don't think I can approve this budget either. I have had Roadmaster in my office for 2 days. And I remember the time when you could not you couldn't take money from the road fund unless you paid it back. And that went for a few years, and then now we can take money from the road fund. What I don't want to do is kick this can down the road, and in 4 years, 5 years, 6 years even, there is nothing. So my apology is that I know there's a time crunch, but we have till July 1st. I don't mind even pulling back the budget committee. Pull those 3 guys back in here, see if they'll come back, and let's sharpen the pencil. But I'm not going to vote to approve this budget as is today. And I know there's been a time lapse, and I'm sorry, but that's my thoughts on this.
I don't think you have to be sorry. That's what we're here for, is to make the really tough calls. And we have not done that the first 4 years. I think the evidence is absolutely overwhelming, and here we are with hard feelings. Could have been avoided. Director Rueckert?
I just want to go over some of the cuts that we did make. We cut.
Why don't we do this first, if you want to get down to details, which is fine.
Oh, it'll take
Captain
20
McDonald?
seconds.
Hi, I'm Captain McDonald with the Curry County Sheriff's Office. I just want to point something out. We went through a whole budget process. At no time was there a budget message from this Board of Commissioners that said, all county departments, you need to cut from your budget. That message was never given out. We sat through our budget hearings. And we did. We cut $600,000 out of the Sheriff's Office budget, which was, we cut 2 of the 4 new positions that we asked for. The county commissioners said, great, that's good, we're good to go. Now you're coming back with no thought to the budget committee or the budget process, saying, we're just going to, you guys are going to get a pencil out and slash budgets. I don't know what budgets you're thinking about, but
we got a week to show you.
So you're basically saying, we don't care about the budget process. As the Board of Commissioners, we can, and you can by law, make changes to the budget. You can do that, but you're going to throw out the whole process. And I've been in budgets for years, not just in this county, but in other counties. I have never seen anything like this. We had a budget, the county adopted the budget, or approved the budget. Now when it comes time to adoption, all of a sudden, we're going to throw all that work out the window, and we're going to start all over again. And the other part that I hear is the Sheriff's Office is taking money from the road fund. Well, I'll tell you what, the Sheriff's Office has not asked for a single dollar from the road fund. The Sheriff's Office is a general fund. Whether you move us into another fund or not, it's a general fund obligation to the county. Now, it just so happens that the state legislature passed a law that says you can use road funds to support and to fund the patrol functions of the Sheriff's Office and its auxiliary or whatever the correct English word is, functions of patrol. All right? So the days of you can't use those funds, I'm sorry, are gone. The state legislation said you can use those funds. The county refused to do it for a number of years and was going to cut law enforcement down to nothing and then say we're in a law enforcement emergency and we want the state to come do something. The county looked at that at one point. The governor wrote, not this board, but the governor wrote a letter to the County Board of Commissioners saying, you have these funds that you can use for law enforcement. I suggest you use them as we allowed you to do so. Do I think that we need to come up with some permanent funding situations? Yes, I do. But that's all of us working together. I've heard, well, the sheriff didn't bring this forward. Well, the sheriff can't put something on the ballot measure, or the sheriff can't authorize it to be on a ballot measure. The Board of Commissioners can. All right, the last time we tried that, We did not have the support of the Board of Commissioners, and it didn't pass. All right, this is something that we all need to work on, but trying to slash services at the final minute doesn't do it. So thank you for your time.
Thank you for your opinion, but I want you to know I take offense that you said, quote, if I understood correctly, that we don't care about the budget process.
Well, it appears you're throwing it out the window, the whole work of the Budget Committee.
Because we have a $2.2 million
That's right.
potential. Potential, is that the right word?
It's not
Potential
a deficit.
We're gonna spend money we don't have, and we've done that how many years now?
We have the money.
We have the money,
Right?
okay.
The money is there, all right? We're not in a deficit. You're spending money that someone else doesn't want you to spend. When you can legally spend it, you're saying, we don't want to spend it on that. Yes, a Roadmaster 30 years ago took a whole bunch of money and stuck it away. Great, thank you. Let's fix the issue. That's what needs to happen, but the money can legally be spent for what you're trying to spend it for. It's an authorized use for the money. Yes, it comes from the road reserve. Again, so does the dump trucks and the excavators and all the other new equipment that the road department buys. It comes from the road reserve. It's a legitimate legal expense from the road reserve. The same thing as what you're asking for over here. All right? It's a
Captain, we're
legitimate
taking-
legal expense.
If I may, thank you. We're taking money we don't intend to pay back and can't pay back. I understand the state program. The problem is, what are we gonna do 3 or 4 years from now?
That's what you guys need to fix.
I asked you about the consumption tax, and I got a yawn. Everybody in the sheriff's department. Everybody's
What can
giving
we
me a
do
yawn.
about it? You're the one that has the ability to do something with a consumption tax. The
Can't do
sheriff's
anything
office
without
does
support,
not.
sir. Can't
We
do
would
anything without support.
Bring it forward. We will support it.
Oh, I did. I couldn't even get a glance. Okay,
Okay,
so
so
I'm
thank you
ready
very
for a
much for
motion.
your
It's-
time.
thank
Phil, before you
More
leave,
comments.
Yes.
I think in when my little diatribe, I said, let's pull those 3 guys back in here. I'm not saying we want to do it by ourselves. Why? We spent one whole day a week or 2 ago. We could spend another day between now and the 1st of July, and so you just said the 3 of us are gonna, and I take offense to that. We're not. I don't want to. I want to bring those 3 guys back in
I want to
here
solve the problem.
and say, it's just not setting right. And blame it on the new guy. I could give a rip.
I'm not blaming it on the new guy. When you asked us to cut, we cut. Okay? You approved it, and now all of a sudden it's coming back and it's not, and it's saying, we don't want to do this. All right? You make it, and everybody makes it sound as if it's the sheriff asking for the money.
No.
Not saying
It's the whole county, but
it's the whole.
but- but
It's
the
all
whole
of
thing.
us. We
But-
got to get rid of that.
Right.
Us
But
against
you
them.
you can, like I'm saying, you can legally use this money, you can legally spend it. It is a legal way. It's not stealing, all right? It's the county's money. It's not, I'm sorry.
It's been said so many times. We
whole-
understand. Commissioner Paasch, please.
The whole thing is, this should have been done when we had the budget committee here. If there was a disagreement, if you had these feelings about being $2.2 million short, we got to get that to $1.5 million, then that should have been done during the budget committee process. To try and ask these, I can't imagine asking for someone to be here next year for our budget committee hearings, and they say, well, what do you want us to come for if you're just going to blow up the budget anyway? This should have been dealt with at the budget committee hearings. That's the protocol of those committee hearings, not weeks later for us. If something happens in the county that we need to make a change, that I could see. But this is something that we want to put the budget committee back together now and talk again about this. This should have been dealt with then as responsible elected officials. It should have been talked about and had a conclusion then, not talking about it weeks later, bringing it back up with all kinds of excuses and how, everybody worked so hard to do something and it didn't get done. It should have got done then.
Well, we're bound by our conscience and good business principles. And that's why I think we need a break. A week is a good time. Your recommendation, consider bringing the budget committee back, I think is excellent. I don't know if we need to do that. I would not oppose that. I don't want to have any more figures.
Well-
You're going to get your chance either later today, if we don't pass this, or we're going to get it done on the 16th.
I do have a couple other things to say.
Did you have anything else?
No.
Okay, go ahead, Director Rueckert, please.
We do have to reconvene the budget committee to do this.
No, we don't. No, we don't. Is that,
So-
do you have something else, though, as far as
No,
calculations or figures?
He's the commandant, so he can do it whatever he wants, I guess.
Commissioner Paasch,
I believe.
I'm going to
I
ask
believe that
you
is the
to
right-
stay with
right
us
thing
on
to-
this. This is a very, very critical time.
Oh, I'm staying with you. I
Yeah.
disagree with you 100%.
Yeah, but you just had an unfortunate,
No, that wasn't
unnecessary
unfortunate.
remark.
That was intended.
Commandant? Okay, yeah, I understand.
Well,
Go
you-
ahead, Mr. Rueckert.
By law, we do have to reconvene the budget committee. They have to approve the budget to go before this committee here.
Yes.
My point is simply, how much
Excuse
more
me
are we
one
going to be able
second,
to cut
Council
into
Pope.
that 2.2 million?
Is that accurate?
A bit of an unusual situation, and I can't say for 100% certainty, but I know that you guys can trim some small portions of the budget, but I believe any major changes, everybody has to get back together for the budget committee.
Absolutely.
So, the 4 years I've been here, the commissioners didn't need the budget committee to come back to approve the budget. And they could make changes. And we can make changes anytime during any given period of time. We could make changes.
You can do supplemental budgets. You can make small changes to the budget. You cannot make major cuts like you're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars without having the budget committee convened. You cannot do
Yeah,
it.
we need to get to 1.5 million, in my opinion. So, Director Rueckert, did you have something else to add?
Yeah, again, I mean, we cut 2.2 from salaries. We cut 200,000, over 200,000 from vehicles. We added $770,000 to the assessor's office. We cut 88,000 from building material repair and maintenance. What significant changes are we going to make on this 2.2 million from cuts?
Well, I got
I don't
one.
see
If we
how we're going to
approve
be
this,
able to
you
do
asked me a
that.
question.
It really needs. It was rhetorical. It was really. It's got to be fixed by revenue, which we can't do in a week's time. It has to be done, as the budget committee chair pointed out, it should have been done 5 years ago. So we're going to have to work on this over the next year. And again, the board approves any large expenditures. Just because it's approved in the budget doesn't mean it's approved to be spent.
So I'm
The
looking for a
budget
motion
committee will have to.
to bring the
Let
budget committee back.
him finish, let him finish.
Budget committee will have to.
We're up against the clock here.
The budget committee will get that chance to, I'm sorry, not the budget committee, the commissioners, you guys will get that chance to approve and disapprove any kind of large expenditures, thus helping to control that $2.2 million. And again, we have open positions. That's going to help reduce that too. I suggest that you guys make that motion to approve the budget and fix this going forward, because it's not going to be fixed by cutting expenses. It's going to be fixed by increasing revenues.
That's rolling the dice. Did you have something else?
Nope.
We keep rolling the dice. Maybe that's a better term than kicking the can down the road. I think we discussed this enough. So I'm looking for a motion.
Chair, I have a comment.
Certainly.
Making a determination every single fiscal year to work on this for the next year is the message we receive every single year. And it's not changing. And then what we're doing that is absolutely unnecessary is pitting departments against each other to the point where it's having some critical health fallout issues with some employees. You know, it's the three of you are responsible to work together to make sure that this county has enough revenue to run off of. It is absolutely unacceptable that every single year these departments fear we can't get people to work here because every year they're afraid that they're going to lose their jobs.
I'm sorry. We've already heard this.
No, you have not heard this
Yeah,
from me.
I have.
And I'm not done, Commissioner.
Well, that's okay.
You also kind of threw me under the bus in saying that you had given me the sales tax information and it kind of dropped there. I was never tasked with that. I offered, if I may, I offered to collect the information and put it in the S drive just as I did.
That was a response, ma'am, to Treasurer Barnes saying that I didn't do anything except just put a ridiculous plan out there.
The other point that I'd like to
That's why you have
make-
that, and you recommended that I look for it on the S drive. I did not mean to imply that you didn't.
The other
And
point
weren't
that I would like
available.
to make.
Please let me finish.
You didn't let me
I'm not
finish.
trying to
And don't
imply-
threaten me with my job because I'm not agreeing with you here.
We're gonna have to take a 5-minute
No, we're
recess.
not. I'm gonna
No.
finish what I have to say. We will not gain the respect of the cities, and they will not work with us and collaborate if we continue to dysfunction like this.
I'll be back in 5 minutes. Sorry to whatever I might contribute.
Absolutely unacceptable. The citizens really don't understand what's going on here. Until we fund the general fund and sustain that through the revenue sources we have available through this county, it is absolutely unacceptable to raise taxes and to ask the citizens of this county to budget spending more on top of what we're already seeing with the price in goods and services. And every year, you know, this is something we need to work on this next year and this next year. I've been here long enough to see it doesn't change. And I'm done. And I'm not worried about my job because I've got another one lined up. Summer Matteson, Curry County Economic Development.
May I?
Sure.
The Citizens Revenue Tax Force
Hey,
that was
John.
started a few years ago, a bunch of citizens got together and they put in hundreds of hours of work to get some funding. They did get the county TLT put on the ballot. Well, I mean, they got it together. The commissioners did approve to put it on the ballot because only the commissioners can do that. And it was approved, and we have been getting that money. Then that group, that citizens group that put in hundreds of hours was disbanded. They had already developed the proposed tax on prepared foods. They had worked through that, and they were disbanded. And so now, when we have members of the commissioners saying that we need to do this, that was done. And it was not able to be allowed to finish. So it's like to hear a commissioner, the chair, say that we need to do this, we need to do this, nobody will help me do this. Why would anybody want to spend 200 hours to do something that's going to be thrown out the window so that somebody else can get credit for it later? But nobody's going to want to do that, whether they're staff, whether they're citizens, whether they're prospective members of the budget committee. You think citizens who watch this are going to want to be on any board that does this kind of thing? And I've been coming to meetings for a few years now. I took a long break because I couldn't take it anymore. But the citizens do see what's going on, even if they're not always involved here. And so I just had to get that out. And I appreciate all the good work that people have done. I appreciate the Sheriff's Department. I appreciate the commissioners. And it's not that I disagree with everything that every commissioner does or disagree. You guys know that I'm very vocal about what I agree with and what I don't agree with. But you need to realize that when you're shooting people in the foot, whether they're staff, whether they're prospective boards, whether they're citizens, whatever, then you're going to have no one who wants to spend their time doing this kind of thing. So just as a warning that what you do and say affects everybody in the county, and you're not going to get volunteers to do anything if you disrespect them the way that the citizens have been disrespected.
Nobody's gonna welcome me back. I've heard how incredibly tough employees have it here. 4 years, I did everything I could. So, improve the working conditions here. You said threaten somebody for their job. I can't listen to that. It's absolutely invalid and ridiculous. Do we have to make some cuts? Do we have to make some reorganizations? There's no other options. People, no other options. So, Commissioner Herzog, if you feel like we need to call the budget committee back, as I said, I wouldn't be opposed to that. It's just part of the hard work that we are responsible to do. Doesn't
Remind
have-
you, you need your
doesn't need to
microphone.
be Wednesday the 16th. but,
Microphone?
That seems to be as good a day as any.
I'll have to check my calendar. I'm not sure I'm available. I mean, this is something that you're bringing up that I wasn't planning on in a scheduled meeting.
We also
Well-
need to check the schedule of the budget committee members, and I would rather do it sooner than later, as soon as possible, Monday,
I won't be
because
here
we
Monday
we
for
are
sure. I know I'm not here Monday.
Tuesday.
Well, you're gonna have to call in on whatever day we do that you're not here. It's that important, so.
It should have been
you-
done weeks ago when we had the budget
said-
committee here,
I'm
sir.
sorry, Commissioner, you've said that 7 times now. It was done, and I expressed, communicated the seriousness of the 2.2 million, again, whatever it is, that we're not making enough cuts.
And when-
Anybody that can miss that, I'm just
Okay,
stunned. So,
That's another pat on
let's
your
don't
back.
have a
but-
debate
but
between,
let's-
I just
let's say
responded
this.
to you.
Let's say this, when the budget committee said, do you accept the budget? Why do you say, no, we can't leave yet until we get this down to this? Instead, you said, yes, I approve the budget. Your vote was yes.
I've got more and more information to properly assess my decision and recommendation to this board and fight for the better
Until,
of the citizens, okay? So do
until
we have a mo-
personal
we need- we're gonna
relationships
need-
stop affecting our county government, this county will never get together and work together to improve the county.
Personal relationship.
Yes.
I'm gonna ignore that comment, because I
okay.
don't know what you're talking
It's
about.
the truth, sir.
But you can say anything, everything you wanna say. Do you wanna stay in here, Miss Rose? You're showing disrespect. I'd appreciate if you would remain professional and calm. Thank you very much. Commissioner Herzog, do we have a motion or no?
I would just like to table this and talk about, let's move on with the other part of the meeting, and we'll talk, we can bring this back up and,
The hearing is kind of specific for this budget hearing. We're not really in our general meeting,
Yes.
so it'd probably be better if we, wrapped up the hearing and can't really push it down the road like that.
okay?
So I'm gonna make a motion.
Later on today?
It'd just be better if we just.
Okay, just did it?
The hearings have to be noticed.
Okay.
What is it? 2 weeks out.
And that's why we don't have time to do this again, because then you have to renotice hearings.
We got a week. There's nothing improper or ill-advised or illegal about that, for gosh sakes. This is what we're here for.
So
We're
is
supposed to
there
be
a
here
motion?
every single day. So I'm gonna make, excuse me, Council Pope?
I just say, I think the best way to wrap this up is, we do have on the public hearing to vote on the resolution to adopt the Curry County budget. I think we should vote on that. If the vote is no, then it would kind of remand it, to the further proceedings. So I don't think we need a new motion with, about when we're gonna reconvene. We just kind of need a yes or no vote on that. If it's a no vote, we'll move on the process.
So I make a motion, we
Pope.
adopt the budget.
Hang on one second. Council Pope, the only reason I disagree with that is because then we do have to have 3 separate votes. If we table this and set a date, which we can responsibly and legally do, then we only have to make 1 vote. So I'm gonna make a motion.
Is that true?
Yep,
My
excuse me.
recommendation is what it is, but obviously he's the chair of the board, so.
So repeat it so I don't, make sure I didn't misunderstand.
I just think the best way for us to move forward is, since we did call the public hearing to make these votes, that we at least make the first vote. And if the budget is not approved by the board, then it needs to, move on the process, and it kind of does everything you're trying to do in those other motions.
You're pretty persuasive, okay. So I'm looking for a motion on,
I make a motion, we adopt the Curry County budget. Ask for a second.
You can ask for a second and then vote no, but, to make the procedure move forward, this is.
Okay. I'll second that.
I hope there's
Isn't
no
it
further
just
discussion.
Die for a lack of second, or?
No, that's a second, sir.
Did you second?
Yeah, I'll second
Okay.
and
Any further discussion? Call for the question?
Commissioner Pat?
No, we're done with public comment, but you're gonna get another chance, I hope, on the 16th.
I
Vice Chair Herzog.
No.
Chair Boyce.
No.
Motion does not carry.
So can we set a date so that we know tentative or conditions on the availability of the Budget Committee members, at least 2 of them?
I have a question also, if I could.
Okay.
Council, what if our budget committee says, you know what, you want to just disregard our recommendations and what the budget committee came before this board to do? We're not going to return. Then where are we? We form a whole new budget committee?
I'd have to look into that. I don't know the answer. Like I said, this
You
is
would
all.
please, sir.
That's an
unusual
unnecessary
situation.
hypothetical, in my respectful opinion. I think that if we ask them and they understand what we're up against here, I think they'll show up. I think they'll do their best. So, could we set a date, tentative, commissioners?
If I could get at least some dates all 3 of you are available, so I can offer them as suggestions to the budget committee.
Well, is there anything wrong with the 16th?
Not inherently, no,
Okay, thank you.
but I don't know their schedules. What
Well,
about
I'm
the
going to call them
15th?
myself too and make sure. Thank you.
I'm actually
we can do
available
all
on
that.
the 15th and the 16th.
I say sooner than later, 15th.
You're unavailable Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Commissioner?
Tuesday's the 15th.
Tuesday's the 15th. I
Okay.
just said I'm available the 15th
Oh,
and the 16th.
I'm sorry. I thought you said you're unavailable. Okay,
What about the 17th? Can everyone do it on the 17th?
I can.
Okay.
Hold on a minute, let me see here. I can in the morning.
So anything else before this board? So on the tentative date of the 16th, the public hearing will be for a resolution to adopt Curry County budget with amendments,
This
I'm
will not
assuming?
be a hearing, no. This will be a
Budget
meeting
committee
with the
meeting.
budget committee. The hearing has to be pushed back somewhere toward the end of the month. Like I said, we're kind of in time crunch to notice it legally, but
So we should
if
go
we
for
don't
the
fall
following
within
Wednesday, the
that-
23rd. I appreciate I stand corrected there. That would be almost identical meeting to this on the assumption that we can pass on the 23rd, which would be also a Wednesday.
see,
Still give us a
I
week.
don't remember the dates exactly, council. Does that fall within the?
I mean,
The
I'll need
hearing
to look
laws.
into that.
You have to
make
have
sure.
2 weeks to notice the hearing, though. So if you have a meeting on the 15th, you cannot notice a hearing until the 29th. Or, I'm sorry, you have to notice it in the paper for 14 days. So you couldn't actually have a meeting on it until the 30th or the 1st.
JJ, can we meet that with the papers, the deadlines the papers have?
But you don't print it until the next week.
When-
We're going to
when-
put you on the
when's
spot,
printing?
Mr. Hall.
Our deadline is Tuesday. Anything we receive as late as Tuesday for the county, we will do everything within our power to stop, change pages from the press, which is expensive, et cetera, to get your notices in for you.
So
When do you
for this,
print?
for this board, if we meet,
Absolutely, the press is running by Tuesday night at 5:30. We have to have pages in prior to that.
I'm sorry, when do you distribute it?
Oh, when did we print?
When are the papers distributed?
The papers are distributed beginning about 4 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday morning.
Wednesday, so you distribute on Wednesday, which would put us on June 30th. What about the other papers,
no, it would be past that,
JJ?
if I could.
Defer to Mr. Knox.
So Council Pope, Staff Jesuit, are we on the same page here on
July.
deadlines, et cetera?
When's your next printing?
Hang on one moment, Mr. Rueckert. I want to hear,
Like I said,
will
I
that
need
work?
to look into this because, usually the budgets just get, approved at the first meeting. So I need to make sure with the noticing requirements. Kind of like with the budget committee, if you have to have a big notice before, but for any second or third meetings, it just has to be a standard notice. I'm not sure if that's the same for the hearings or if it needs to be the full 2 weeks.
Okay,
Something I
so you
to
need a
look
little
into.
extra time. Mr. Knox?
I defer to Council Pope, but we publish our deadlines are Tuesday, and we distribute on Friday.
Okay. So that
Commissioner
would-
Paasch?
So if we have our meeting on the 15th, that would mean the papers couldn't publish until the
23rd.
the 21st, they would, or I'm sorry, the 22nd,
Deadline.
they would have it in. and the papers won't be distributed until the 25th or 26th. So if we have a hearing and we have to do the 2 weeks, as Council Pope's going to look into, it wouldn't be until the second week of July to be able to get the budget approved.
So why can't we do it from 2 weeks now and set the dates?
I think because the issue of it being published in the paper, if it has the same notice requirements as this hearing did, it actually has to be published in the paper so many days before the meeting. And so there's just.
Now, I understand that,
Yeah.
but instead of waiting till the noticing 2 weeks after the meeting on the 16th, presumably, why can't we back up and do it now?
I mean, I guess technically we could notice that hearing, and then just the assumption would be that you guys are gonna get everything worked out before then.
Okay?
We can notice it tomorrow. I can get everything into the papers tomorrow. That would then mean that one paper would publish on the 16th. 2 weeks from that day would be the 30th of June. The other paper would publish on the 18th. 2 weeks from that date would be the 2nd of July, past the deadline.
Yeah, but the pilot comes out a week from Friday, which is the Friday the 10th.
It'd be the 18th, would be July 2nd.
16th
So that'll work.
and 18th. 18th.
No, we go 2 weeks from
The 18th.
2 weeks from today.
No. Yeah,
It's gotta be from the
it's
date
not-
they
it's not-
received the paper.
Right. It's when the public gets to see the paper.
So we need to figure out a way to get in before June 30th. I don't think that's impossible. Do we have agreement on that?
It is impossible.
Don't necessarily do
So,
that.
Council Pope, what is a legal requirement of, by the end of the deadline of June 30th?
Oh, if we don't have the budget passed, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think we lose our legal authority to spend and collect taxes.
Is that a state or federal?
It's a state statute,
State?
yes.
Yeah, it has to be done by the 30th, however we get it done.
Roadmaster Christensen?
So, you know, I've had a state official waiting almost an hour.
I'm sorry I caused so much problems here today, but this is what my thought is. Maybe pass the budget as it is. I will go make some cuts. Like I said, I'm looking at cutting 4 people from my budget. I'll do that. I'll give it a serious look. The thing is, anything over $10,000 I buy this next year, any project, any grant, everything has to be approved by you before I can move forward. So even if this budget is adopted, if I bring something to you during the year that's in the budget, you could choose at that time to say no. Like if I bring someone, like I say, I want to do a paving this next year for $4 million, you could say no. And so maybe just pass it the way it is. I think the real message I want to say is we need to work on finding new funding. And I think that message is loud and clear here today. So, I'm not here to say not pass the budget, but I'm saying is maybe pass the budget, but really look at it when we bring our items to you for approval to move forward in personnel and materials and projects, that you look at it, you could break it down then if you want to pass them or not. Thank you.
I appreciate that, Rich, and I would add that as the commissioners, we could pay back up to $1 million, I think, in bridges from this ARP money.
Yes.
American Rescue Plan. We could give you 500,000 out of this 2.2, right back into bridges. Bridges is one of the things that stuck out.
That could possibly work. We're doing a $2 million bridge this year. And so if that works, that works. And so I think the big thing is that we see we can't kick the can down the road, that we all have to work together, all the department heads and all the elected officials. And we need to work on public trust. And I think we could do that. And I don't think not passing this budget is going to help move that forward. I think we could look, like I said, we could address every item as I bring it to you concerning the road department, the sheriff. He's going to bring his stuff to you for personnel and his purchases as well. And you look at those things at that time.
Thank you. Stay there for just a minute. There's another thing we could do. We could make this a budget hearing, invite the budget committee, but it wouldn't be an official budget committee meeting. So that might be one way to to get to the 1.5 million that I'm promoting, and go from there. Either that or we have to rescind or cancel the motion and then move to another motion. So I'm going to recommend that we go to January 16th with another budget hearing and with some additional recommendations to the departments and go from there.
June, you mean, not January.
What'd I say?
You said January.
Did I always mix up? I'm sorry. That's
But
about the third time I've done that.
So I think.
Did you get January on there,
Hear from
sir?
you.
16th is a Wednesday.
Commissioner Herzog, would you reconsider now or not?
Well, can we have another meeting and make the timeline before July?
Without having the full budget committee here.
And that's what I don't know off the top of my head. I need to look into that.
That's what we were just trying to discuss, and it's, one paper we can make the deadline, the other one we can't. But I'd like to just reiterate what Rich just said, is that every expenditure comes before the board. Everything over $10,000 comes before the board. The board can say yes or no. And so, it's still in your hands. Even if you approve the budget, you're not approving the spending of the budget. You're approving the budget simply. You're approving the spending of the budget throughout the year as departments come, whether it's Rich's department, the sheriff's department, maintenance department, coming and saying, we have this project that's gonna cost $50,000. You guys say yes or no on that. And if it's looking like we're not in line with cutting down this 2.2 to 1.5 or whatever number you want, you say no. You say no to the project.
So I'm okay with Roadmaster Christensen's recommendation. It's going to pile up the work, but like I said, that's what we're here for.
I'll make a motion.
We have to rescind the other one first.
That's correct.
You have
Make
to
a motion
redact.
to rescind the first motion? Or do you have to
No,
rescind?
we actually voted, right?
You did vote, yes.
So you have
Do
to.
you have to make the motion to rescind? Because you
No,
said.
anybody can.
Okay, I'll make that motion to rescind.
What?
The first motion,
No, yeah.
To
Make
rescind
make a motion
passing,
to rescind.
not passing the budget.
resolution to adopt Curry County budget.
Thank you.
You want to reread that, JJ, please?
The original motion was to adopt the Curry County budget, and that was lost to 1 vote yes, 2 noes.
And that's what we want to rescind.
That's what you want to rescind.
That's what Commissioner Herzog's motion is.
Need a second?
I'll second.
I'm afraid to ask for more discussion. Call for the question, Staff Jesuit, please.
Commissioner Paasch.
Aye.
Commissioner Vice Chair Herzog.
Yes.
Chair Boyce.
Yes.
Motion carried 3-0, unanimous.
I make a motion that we approve the budget for Curry County.
Subject to?
There's no subject to.
Additional work, additional meetings, additional planning.
Chris, can I
That
can I
all
just
will
ask you?
come.
Huh?
All of the additional work will come in the
That has
course
to
of normal business meetings.
But could you let me make this motion?
Go ahead. Yeah.
I make a motion to approve.
Whoop, hang on. So that motion, forgive me, but that dies for lack of a second.
Okay.
Calling for another motion. Thank you.
I make a motion to pass a resolution to adopt Curry County budget with an addition that we will pay back road department $500,000 out of this 2.2 that we've received from ARP monies, and $500,000 out of the next allotment of ARP monies for bridges.
I don't know that we can legally do that.
I don't know
That's-
either. But that's my motion.
Well,
Well,
again, the
good
board
job,
is
bud.
going to be controlling all that 2.2 million. So as
What's,
the ARP funds, the resolution that the board just adopted was to, I believe, was to form a committee. That committee will then bring those suggestions to the board. So again, it is all in the board's hands to repay the road fund back out of those ARP monies. So, and that will be done in the course of normal business meetings.
I would just like it in a motion, so we.
Why don't we add it to the next, to the business meeting agenda then?
Okay,
I think that's probably the best idea, yeah.
okay.
So let's get a clarification on the motion, please.
I guess it's just a motion to resolve to adopt the Curry County budget as is.
I'll second.
Discussion. No, I have nothing further. Call for the question.
Commissioner Paasch,
Aye.
Vice Chair Herzog,
Yes.
Chair Boyce.
No.
Motion carried 2-1.
Are we done with this meeting?
No, there is, we have to approve the resolution to set appropriations.
Excuse me, thank you.
And to categorize and impose tax. Just need a motion on both of those.
I make a motion to set the approve the appropriations.
Second?
Discussion. Call for the question. Staff Jesuit, please.
Commissioner Paasch,
Aye.
Vice Chair Herzog,
Yes.
Chair Boyce.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
I make a motion to categorize and impose the tax.
Second?
Discussion. Just want the public to know that this is the same 59-cent per thousand valuation, and that will not change according to this vote. Item 4C, resolution to categorize and impose tax. Any other discussion or comments? And if you hear that Curry County is the lowest in the state by 1 cent over Josephine County, or maybe it's the other way around. Maybe they're 60 cents. Call for the question, please.
Commissioner Paasch,
Aye.
Vice Chair Herzog,
Yes.
Chair Boyce.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
Can we have 5 minutes?
Yeah, we have 5 minutes. So this budget hearing is adjourned. See
So if
everybody
I
back here
could-
in 5 minutes, or do you need more time?
Well, I'd like to ask, as I've stated, I've got a state official waiting, and it's for the courts of the state, and he's allotted some time that has already expired, so what should I tell him on if he can wait longer, how much longer? I know we've got Able Insurance here as well, and we've got
We'll do a
other things.
recess if you have a specific time you need to talk to him. How's that?
Well, let me, I'll see if I can get a hold of him and ask him exactly.
Okay, so it is 10:32. Can we get everybody back here at 10:40, please, for our regular business meeting? Thank you all.